It had been 500,000 years since humans vanished from the galaxy. They once roamed among the stars, known for their innovation and resilience. But after so many centuries, they were now just a story, a myth. Most of the galaxy's species didn't even believe humans existed anymore. The Galactic Council, a group of powerful alien races, had long dismissed humanity as an ancient, forgotten civilization. In the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council, high above the bustling capital planet, the leaders of various species gathered. The hall was filled with advanced technology, shimmering lights, and the sound of alien languages blending together. Representatives from dozens of worlds were there, each more confident than the last that humans were no longer a threat, or even real. "We have more important matters to discuss." One of the alien leaders, a tall, four-armed creature named Varn, scoffed. "Why are we wasting time on old myths about a long-dead species?" Many nodded in agreement. To them, humans were no more real than ghosts. They believed Earth had become a barren rock, abandoned in time. But one member of the council, a quiet and cautious alien named Tarsa, had received troubling news. She was a scholar of ancient species, and her data analysts had picked up something strange. "I wouldn't be so sure, Varn," she said, her eyes narrowing as she studied the data before her. "We've recently detected signals from Earth." A sudden hush fell over the council. All eyes turned toward Tarsa. Earth, the once vibrant home of humans, had been silent for millennia. No one had ventured there for centuries. What could possibly be coming from that forgotten planet? "Impossible," Varn said, waving a hand dismissively. "There hasn't been any activity from that sector in thousands of years. It's probably just background noise." Tarsa shook her head, her face serious. "These aren't random signals. They are structured, intelligent. Something or someone is sending messages from Earth, and they're using technology far beyond anything we've seen." The room filled with murmurs. This was not something they could easily ignore. If there was even the slightest chance that humans, or something related to them, were still out there, it could change everything. "I propose we send a scouting mission," Tarsa said. "We need to know what's happening on Earth. If humans have returned, or if something else has taken their place, we need to be prepared." Varn, despite his earlier dismissal, now looked uneasy. The council was powerful, but humans, if they still existed, were unpredictable. "Very well," he agreed reluctantly, "but only a small team. We can't risk alerting anyone to our interest in such a minor matter." Within hours, a small fleet of scout ships was dispatched toward Earth. The journey would take only a few days, as their advanced engines allowed them to traverse great distances quickly. The crew on board were experienced explorers, but even they felt uneasy. Earth had always been a place of mystery and danger in old galactic stories. As they neared the solar system, the first sign of something unusual occurred. Their sensors picked up faint energy signatures coming from the planet. The readings were faint but undeniable. Earth was no longer dead. The scouts moved in cautiously, passing the silent, empty planets of the solar system. As they approached Earth, the view that greeted them was both eerie and majestic. The planet looked as if it hadn't changed in thousands of years. From space, they could see the same blue oceans and green continents that had been described in ancient records. But something felt off. "Scanners are picking up energy signatures beneath the surface," the lead scout reported. "Massive structures, all buried deep underground." The crew exchanged worried glances. No one had expected to find anything on Earth, let alone advanced technology. "We need to land and investigate," the captain ordered. The scout ships descended toward Earth's surface, landing near what appeared to be the remains of an ancient city. The ruins stretched out for miles, crumbling and overgrown. But below the surface, hidden from view, the readings were much stronger. As the team prepared to explore, a deep rumbling sound echoed through the air. The ground beneath their feet began to tremble. Before they could react, a massive structure began to rise from the earth. It was a ship, an enormous warship, unlike anything they had ever seen. And it wasn't alone. All around them, more ships began to emerge, breaking free from their underground vaults. The scouts stared in shock. The humans might have disappeared, but their fleet had not. Something powerful, ancient, and unstoppable had been awakened. The scout team couldn't believe what they were seeing. Massive warships were rising from deep within the earth, their sleek black surfaces gleaming under the sunlight. These ships were far larger and more advanced than anything the Galactic Council had in their fleet. The scouts stood frozen, their minds racing with questions. How had these ships stayed hidden for so long? And who had activated them? "We need to contact the Council immediately," the captain of the scout team barked, snapping everyone out of their shock. "This changes everything." As the ships continued to rise, a low, mechanical hum filled the air. The sound seemed to pulse from the ground itself, echoing through the ruins of the ancient city. The energy readings from the ships were off the charts. It was as if they had been dormant, sleeping for centuries, and now they were fully awake. The captain tapped his communicator, his voice urgent. "This is Scout Team Alpha. We've discovered something massive. Earth is not abandoned. There's a fleet of warships here, and they're activating. We need immediate backup!" But before he could say more, a deep robotic voice interrupted the transmission. The voice came from the largest ship, which now hovered above them like a giant shadow. "This is Earth Defense Command," the voice boomed. "You are trespassing on restricted territory. Leave immediately or face destruction." The scouts exchanged uneasy glances. This wasn't just some old defense system. The ships were being controlled, and the message was clear. Earth was not as empty as they had thought. "We should leave," one of the crew members whispered, fear creeping into his voice. "We're not equipped to deal with this." The captain hesitated, his mind torn between curiosity and the need to follow orders. These ships could change the balance of power in the galaxy. If the Galactic Council knew about this, it could trigger a war. But staying here longer could mean their deaths. Before he could make a decision, the ground beneath them rumbled again. More ships were rising from the earth, their engines coming to life. Hundreds of them now hovered in the air, surrounding the scout team's small ships like predators circling their prey. The captain took a deep breath. "We have no choice. We're leaving." As they scrambled back to their ships, the scouts kept their eyes on the massive war fleet above them. The ships weren't attacking, but they weren't letting them go easily either. It was as if they were being watched, evaluated. The scout ships took off, rising into the atmosphere and leaving the planet behind. But as they flew into space, the warships followed, trailing behind them at a distance. The scouts could feel the weight of those ships' presence, like a silent threat hanging over their heads. One of the younger crew members, barely out of training, couldn't contain his fear. "What if they follow us all the way back to the Council? What if they attack?" The captain clenched his jaw. "We don't know what their plan is, but we can't let them find out about the Council. We need to make it back and warn them." As the scout ships pushed their engines to maximum speed, the warships stopped at the edge of Earth's orbit. They didn't chase after them, but their message had been clear. Earth was no longer a forgotten world. Something powerful had been awakened, and the galaxy would soon know it. The scouts made their way back to the Galactic Council, their minds heavy with the realization of what they had discovered. This fleet, hidden for 500,000 years, was beyond anything they had ever seen. If it belonged to humans, then humanity had not disappeared. They had simply been waiting. By the time the scouts returned to the Council, word of their discovery had already spread. The Council members were in an uproar. There was panic, fear, and disbelief. No one had expected Earth to still be a threat. The captain, standing before the Council, delivered his report. "The warships are active, and they are more advanced than anything we have. If humans are controlling them, we are facing a power that could destroy us all." The Council fell silent. The ancient myth of humanity's disappearance had just been shattered. Earth's fleet had been discovered, and the galaxy was not ready for what came next. The Galactic Council chamber was filled with tension. News of Earth's fleet had spread like wildfire across the galaxy. What the scouts had discovered on Earth wasn't just a fleet of powerful warships. It was a sign that humanity might not be gone after all. For centuries, the galaxy believed humans were extinct, vanished into the unknown. Now they faced the possibility that this ancient species had returned, stronger than ever. "Are we really supposed to believe that humans have been hiding all this time?" One of the Council members, a large reptilian creature named Zarn, growled. "Their entire civilization vanished 500,000 years ago. This could be a trick." Tarsa, the scholar who had first alerted the Council, stood up, her face stern. "I don't think it's a trick. The technology on those ships far surpasses anything we have. It would take thousands of years to develop such advancements. The humans must have been preparing all this time." The Council members shifted uncomfortably. The idea that humans, the once small and vulnerable species, had somehow become more powerful than all of them was hard to accept. But the evidence was there, and the reality was sinking in. Suddenly, the Council's communications panel lit up with an incoming transmission. The entire room fell silent as the holographic image of a human appeared before them. He was tall, with sharp, piercing eyes, and wearing a uniform with strange symbols they couldn't recognize. His expression was calm but commanding. "I am Commander Auric of the United Terran Fleet," the human began, his voice strong and unwavering. "We know you have discovered our fleet on Earth. Let this transmission serve as a message to the galaxy. Humanity has returned." The Council was frozen in shock. After 500,000 years, they were speaking to a human again. The once forgotten species had returned, and they were not the weak creatures they used to be. Commander Auric continued, his tone filled with authority. "For millennia, we watched as the galaxy evolved, preparing for the day we would make ourselves known again. We have seen the rise and fall of empires, the wars, and the fragile alliances, and now we are ready to reclaim our place among the stars." Zarn, his temper rising, slammed his fist on the table. "Reclaim? You've been gone for eons! The galaxy doesn't belong to you anymore." Auric's gaze turned cold. The galaxy never belonged to anyone. "But we built our fleet not for conquest, but for protection. We have learned from our past, and we will not make the same mistakes again. If you are wise, you will leave Earth in peace." Tarsa, her mind racing, stepped forward. "Why now? Why return after all this time? What is it you want?" Auric paused for a moment before answering. "We never truly left. We simply retreated to prepare. Humanity has faced extinction before, and we knew that if we were to survive, we needed to evolve. The United Terran Fleet represents not just our strength, but our will to defend what is ours. We want peace, but we will not hesitate to protect our home." The Council was divided. Some members were fearful of the human fleet's power, while others, like Zarn, were enraged at the idea that humans could threaten their rule. "You can't just return and expect us to bow down," Zarn shouted. "We are the rulers of this galaxy now." Auric's eyes narrowed. "We do not seek to rule, but understand this. Any aggression toward Earth will be met with a force you cannot comprehend." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the Council in stunned silence. The room was heavy with the weight of the message. Humanity had not only returned, they had returned with a fleet capable of shaking the entire balance of power in the galaxy. Tarsa turned to the Council, her voice quiet but firm. "We must decide how to proceed. If the humans are truly as powerful as their fleet suggests, we cannot afford to make them our enemies." Zarn, still fuming, glared at her. "We won't be bullied by an ancient species. We will show them the strength of the Galactic Council." But deep down, even Zarn knew the truth. The humans were no longer the weak species they had once been. They had returned with unmatched technology and a will stronger than ever before. And now, the entire galaxy would have to reckon with the return of humanity. The Galactic Council's fleet hovered in space, a vast armada stretching across the stars. Warships from dozens of species had gathered, their engines humming with energy as they prepared for battle. At the front of the formation stood Zarn's flagship, a massive vessel bristling with weapons. His eyes burned with determination. "This is our moment," Zarn growled, gripping the armrest of his command chair. "We will show the humans that the Galactic Council is the true power of this galaxy." On the other side of the battlefield, the United Terran Fleet remained silent and still. Their ships, sleek and dark, floated in formation, a sharp contrast to the chaotic, mixed designs of the Council's forces. At the center of the Terran fleet was Earth's command ship, a massive, angular structure that looked more like a fortress than a ship. Inside, Commander Auric stood calm and focused, watching the Council's fleet approach. "They outnumber us 5-1, one of his officers remarked, scanning the tactical screen. Auric nodded but showed no sign of fear. "Numbers don't matter. Our ships are faster, stronger, and more advanced. They still don't understand what they're facing." A tense silence filled the space between the two fleets as they waited for the signal to engage. The stars seemed to hold their breath, as if the galaxy itself was watching the conflict about to unfold. Suddenly, Zarn's voice boomed through the communication channel. "Humans! This is your final warning. Surrender your fleet and return to your forgotten planet, or we will wipe you from the stars." Auric's response was cold and direct. "We will not surrender. If you attack, you will face the full power of the United Terran Fleet." With a snarl, Zarn slammed his fist on the console. "So be it! All ships, attack!" The Council's fleet surged forward, weapons charging as they closed the distance. The vast array of ships, from towering dreadnoughts to swift fighters, filled the void, firing volleys of plasma and energy beams toward the Terran fleet. The battle had begun, but as the first shots neared Earth's fleet, something unexpected happened. The Terran ships moved, but not like any ships the Council had ever seen. They split apart, vanishing and reappearing in blurs of light, dodging the incoming fire with almost impossible precision. It was as if they were disappearing and reappearing in different spots of space, outmaneuvering the Council's weapons entirely. "They're too fast!" a panicked voice shouted from one of the Council's ships. "We can't get a lock on them!" Arik gave the order. "Return fire." In an instant, the Terran fleet unleashed its own barrage, but their weapons were far more advanced. Beams of focused energy tore through the Council's ships, ripping them apart as if they were made of paper. Explosions lit up the battlefield as one Council vessel after another was destroyed. Zarn watched in horror as his mighty fleet was torn to pieces. "No! This can't be happening!" he roared, pounding the armrest of his chair. "Send in the dreadnoughts! We must crush them!" But even the Council's largest warships were no match for the Terran fleet. The Earth ships moved with terrifying speed and precision, their weapons obliterating everything in their path. The dreadnoughts, which had once been the pride of the Council, were now reduced to smoking wrecks. The battle, which had seemed so promising for the Council at first, was quickly turning into a massacre. The once mighty armada was being annihilated, and the Terran fleet hadn't even lost a single ship. Zarn's face twisted with rage and desperation. "Fall back! We must retreat!" But it was too late. The Terran fleet pressed the attack, cutting off their escape routes. One by one, the Council's ships were destroyed, leaving only a handful of vessels limping away, badly damaged and broken. As the smoke and debris cleared, Arik stood on the bridge of his command ship, watching the battlefield with a steely gaze. The great battle was over, and humanity had emerged victorious. He turned to his crew. "Prepare a transmission. Let the galaxy know. Earth has returned, and we will not be threatened again." The message was clear. The humans, once thought to be a relic of the past, were now the most powerful force in the galaxy. And the Galactic Council, once arrogant and sure of their dominance, had been utterly defeated. The Terran fleet regrouped, their ships intact and gleaming. They had won the battle, but the war was far from over. As they prepared for what came next, one thing was certain. The galaxy would never be the same again. The smoke from the battle had cleared, and the once chaotic space was now peaceful. The debris of the Galactic Council's fleet floated silently, a reminder of the fierce conflict that had just ended. But for Earth and the united Terran fleet, this was not a moment of celebration. It was the beginning of something far greater. Inside the command center of Earth's flagship, Commander Arik stood tall, staring at the holographic display of the galaxy. His face was calm, but his mind was racing. The message he had sent to the galaxy was spreading quickly. Earth had returned. The humans were no longer the species that had disappeared 500,000 years ago. They were now the most advanced power in the universe. One of Arik's officers approached. "Commander, we've received multiple messages from different factions. Some are offering peace, others, well, they're not so pleased about our return." Arik nodded, his gaze never leaving the galaxy map. "It's expected. Not everyone will welcome us back with open arms, but we didn't come here to make enemies. We came to reclaim our place among the stars." The crew around him busily monitored transmissions, analyzing the state of the galaxy. While the Terran fleet had emerged victorious in the great battle, the real challenge was just beginning. They now had to rebuild their place in a galaxy that had long since forgotten them. "We've also received a message from the remnants of the Galactic Council," the officer continued. "They're requesting a ceasefire and are willing to negotiate terms." Arik smirked slightly. The same council that had once mocked humanity and launched an attack on them was now begging for peace. "Tell them we'll consider it. But they need to understand, Earth will no longer tolerate threats." As the message was relayed, Arik turned to another officer, a woman named Lyra, who had been by his side throughout the entire conflict. "What do you think, Lyra? Is the galaxy ready for us?" Lyra's eyes gleamed with determination. "I think the galaxy doesn't have a choice. We've proven that we are a force to be reckoned with. But this isn't just about power, Arik. We've been gone for too long. It's time for humanity to show what we've learned." Arik nodded. You're right. This isn't just about strength. We've evolved, and now we need to lead by example. If the galaxy is to survive, we need to unite, not conquer. The command room fell silent for a moment as everyone took in the weight of Aric's words. This was no longer the Earth of ancient times, where humans fought amongst themselves and sought control through war. This was a new beginning, a chance for humanity to use its power to build a better future, not just for themselves, but for all species. We've already started receiving requests from other planets, Lyra said, breaking the silence. They want our help. Some are dealing with hostile forces, others with internal conflicts. They see us as protectors. Aric's face softened. That's how it should be. We didn't build the United Terran fleet to rule over the galaxy. We built it to protect our home and to ensure peace. If the galaxy needs us, then we will be there to help. He looked out of the viewport, where the stars stretched endlessly before him. Earth's return had caused a ripple across the universe, and now the humans stood at a crossroads. They could choose the path of conquest, or they could choose a path of unity and peace. For Aric, the choice was clear. Prepare the fleet, he ordered. We'll send aid to the planets in need, and we'll open diplomatic channels with those willing to talk. As for the Galactic Council, we'll negotiate, but on our terms. Lyra smiled. A new beginning, Commander? Aric returned the smile. Yes, a new beginning. Not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. The crew went to work, their hearts filled with hope for the future. The battle had been won, but the real victory lay in what came next. Humanity was back, not as conquerors, but as protectors of the galaxy. And under the leadership of Commander Aric and the United Terran Fleet, the universe would never be the same. As the fleet prepared to depart, the stars seemed brighter than ever before. Earth had returned, not as a forgotten relic of the past, but as a beacon of hope for a new and united galaxy. It was indeed a new beginning,